Yes, this is DJ Ski.
I'm Jeff Wilson.
Hey guys, Andy Broom, Vice President CGC Cards.
Hey, this is Jason Howard with Panini.
Yo, I'm Q Harrison.
This is Teapot from Sports Card Investor.
I'm loving the content.
Loving the content here.
The Sports Card Strategy Show.
The Sports Card Strategy Show.
This is the Sports Card Strategy Show with your man, Paul Hickey. What's good?
Part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, the #1 place for advice on how to make money flipping sports cards. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there is no off-season.
You already know, there is no off-season.
No off-season!
All right, you ready to rock?
Ready to go.
When you get into this game, the reason why you pay someone like Paul Hickey to get your sports card strategy together is because sometimes when you're starting out, you need perspective, you need wisdom, you need insights. And so he's been around the track enough times where he can actually coach you up and guide you. Doesn't mean he's going to take you to the promised land tomorrow, but you now have a coach by your side that can advise and kind of even create these pathways where you can get the education yourself. And that's a lot better than thugging it out on your own. Thugging it out on your own.
The kids better buy my rookie card now, because after this year, the price ain't coming down.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Paul Hickey. It's time to sit back, listen, learn, and earn with me on the Sports Card Strategy Show. What's up, fam? Things are getting a little spicy backstage between Lefty and I talking about the Dukies losing, but more on that later. Lefty McKee, my wonderful co-host, sporting the McLaren hat. How you doing today, man?
Good, but this is an easy question. I will be. I didn't even put this on after I saw this question. I was already wearing it. Paul can attest to that. Backstage, came in with my McLaren hat, ready to rock a 1-2 podium. And I will forfeit a winning day to the Red Bulls if we come in 1-2. So Max Verstappen's still a great driver, but that's not sports cards. So let's talk sports cards.
Yeah, Rusty and McGard in the live chat talking about some F1. Arturo Torres as well. Hello to everybody in the live chat. Canna Cards, LA Sports Cards, Marco, all on Instagram. Everybody jump into youtube.com/Paul Hickey to get into the live chat. And we know most of you are on Apple and Spotify. So welcome in, everybody. We are excited to have you. NoOffSeason.com fam, ready to help you make money flipping sports cards. We've got a power-packed show today, a lot to talk about. We're going to talk to Mike Nett, who's the VP of sports cards for eBay in the United States. We talk with him later on in the episode more about the PSA grading option at checkout. There's a lot more details have surfaced about that, as well as some promotions, some ways for you guys to save money. So we're all about that. We're going to talk with Mike later on in the show. Excited. We've got some sports card related sports news to hit on first in today's episode. But first, are you guys tracking your sports card profit and loss sheet properly in 2025? Sports Card School and our inventory tracker help you do so. Go premium at nooffseason.com right now. Multiple pricing tiers for weekly, monthly, and annual. And you can use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20% now. So definitely make sure you check that out. More on our premium features coming soon. Hello to George Schurer and Terry Anderson, who says, best thing about Mondays. Yes, it's a great way to start the week with the Sports Card Strategy Show. So Lefty, there's some sports card related sports news that happened over the weekend. Quite a bit of it, actually. Let's start with a sport that we never talk about, hockey.
Come on.
Alexander Ovechkin. We knew this was going to happen. We've been talking about it off and on for the last couple of years. He broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals scored record in the NHL. His Young Guns 2005 Upper Deck base PSA 10 is up $600 as of yesterday, and he broke the record over the weekend. That is the most recent sale of that card. Many of his other cards are up as well. His BGS 9.5 of that same card is up $508. His PSA 8 of that same card is up $323. These are all sales after the record-breaking performance. His 2005 Parkhurst base BGS 9.5 is up $150. I mean, there's many of his cards are up $50 or more dollars or $100 or more dollars since he broke the record. Lefty, to me, this is something that we knew was happening. You know, it kind of sounds like I'm taking it for granted a little bit. I mean, it still had to happen, but we knew that he was on pace to break the record a couple of years ago. And unless something catastrophic happened to him from an injury standpoint, it was eventually going to happen before he retired. I personally don't know that much about hockey. I don't follow the NHL that much. So, you know, I could be wrong on this, but for me, this is the sell marker for any Alexander Ovechkin card. This is the sell marker. So I would be cooking up a huge sell alert right now for Alexander Ovechkin cards. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is the moment that we looked forward to a long time ago. There was a couple of times over the last couple of years I've acquired some big Ovechkin cards, and then unfortunately I got to a point in my portfolio where I liquidated them before this moment. So I don't have any left right now, but if you do, like I saw a post that Krim posted on Instagram yesterday where he's got like 6 big autos of Ovechkin, and they're all like BGS 9s and everything. Actually, a really unique thing about Ovechkin cards is I haven't seen that many that are graded well. I've seen a lot of them that are like BGS 8 and 9s, which is probably because most of the big cards are thick boys. So, you know, like those don't grade very well. But I would like, you know, if Krim was sitting right here, I'd be like, this is the time to get out. And I think that's why he posted it on Instagram probably. You know, he's like, if anybody wants to take these from me, then go for it. But uniquely, I think I don't find that many hockey cards, you know, like, and the hockey cards I do see are Young Guns, which, you know, Ovechkin's Young Gun would be a long time ago if he even has one. And I don't know that much about it. And so, or you see vintage hockey. Like I very regularly see modern hockey cards at shows or anything like that. So I doubt a lot of our audience has Alex Ovechkin cards, but if you do, and if you did follow us from a couple of years ago and you didn't liquidate it to do a 3 to 6 month flip like I did, which is what Paul would have done as well, probably, then now would be the only time to sell, you know? So it's like, we've been holding for this moment. Don't overplay it. Now, an interesting thing about Ovechkin, Paul, is we had this discussion in our chat with me, you, and Turner the other day, where you were like, I said, hypothetically, if there's a Topps Now that comes out about Ovechkin, are you going to make the 20 sticker play into a PSA 10 first to the market? You laughed me out of the room, and I said, well, but honestly, though, if you're getting them down to $2 a sticker, which is what the previous stickers were at, if they're $2 a sticker and you've got $20 grading fee, you need a PSA 10 to sell for just over $25 to make money. I feel like that's possible. Now, I am still not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But the interesting thing is Topps Now doesn't even have a sticker available. They don't even have one available of him. They have the sticker number 150, which is at the bottom. It says he's a hat trick away from NHL history, but he has accomplished it, and they don't have a card out. I think that's a miss for Topps, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that second point. I'm surprised Topps doesn't have a sticker out. I think they only have licensing for stickers, which is why we had the Bedard sticker play for the Topps Now and all that stuff. But Upper Deck, I think, is the only manufacturer that can make cards. So that's why Lefty's on the mark with saying sticker there. Yeah, I mean, if they do something, I would fade it just because I don't think that anybody's gonna want that in a PSA 10 for more than $25, which would be like, I think after fees, it would still be a loss potentially, because you'd have the grading fee, and then if it sells for, I mean, I think it would have to sell for over 35 or 40, and maybe a few of them would. Maybe, like, you know, if you listed them in a buy it now, maybe a few of them would, but then if you're still stuck with 15 or 16 more, I don't know. To me, it just feels like too risky to spend $2 on. Just not for me. But
right.
if you do it, keep us posted. Maybe you
can't do it.
If you can prove me wrong.
You can't do it right now because there is no sticker available. So don't get fooled into thinking we're talking about this, so that we must be referring to the one that's out right now. We're not referring to that.
And I think actually, I'll give credit to Hector here, but I think actually one of my points to you in the chat with Turner was that by the time you get it back from PSA, no one's going to care. And that's exactly what Hector just said here. So Hector says with PSA's turnaround time, definitely would lose hype by then. So Lefty, let's go to another sport. We're going to slowly go to sports that you're more passionate about than hockey. First of all, women's basketball. UConn brings home the championship in the NCAA for the women. Paige Bueckers is a player that we've talked about since 2023. So a couple of years of talking about Paige Bueckers. She's had her Bowman U Chrome firsts out since the 2023 release. Since the championship, I think a lot of Paige Bueckers' hype is built in, but since the championship, there, her prices have gone up a little bit. Is it enough for this to be a selling marker for Paige? I think is the question that I want to ask you. If you look at her pricing compared to 30 days ago, sort of when the tournament began-ish, right? You have her Fuchsia Mini Diamond Refractor PSA 10 out of 150 is up $100. Her Green Lava Refractor out of 99 in PSA 10 is up $64. Her Blue Refractor out of 99 in PSA 10 up $35. Her Short Print Variation 2023 Bowman Chrome U up $35. I mean, so there's a lot of Paige Bueckers cards up $25 or more. The question is, what do you do with Paige Bueckers cards right now? I mean, is this a selling marker for a player like Paige Bueckers? Do you wait for the WNBA draft? Or, I don't know, like, do you get out of the Paige Bueckers cards you have now so that you can buy into something like her draft night card in the Caitlin Clark play that went so well for all of us? Do you repeat that with Paige Bueckers? What's your thoughts on Paige right now?
Well, I have thoughts, and then I also have action that I did personally. So my thoughts are that Paige Bueckers' market is seemingly lower than I expected it to be, and I think that I think you've been on that. You've been on that for a while. Of I think we need to pump the brakes on some of these women's basketball, especially NCAA plays, because they're not Caitlin Clark. And plain and simple, like Dallas Wings have an opportunity to take Paige with the first draft pick, and even in that case, I'm not sure she's the kind of player that demands the kind of market respect that Caitlin, or I know she's not the kind of player that demands the same market respect that Caitlin did. I mean, Wemby and Sarr did not sell the same. They did not sell the same, and they still don't sell the same, and they still don't market the same. Nobody turns on the TV to watch Sarr play. Nobody does. There's probably one Washington fan that's like, me, I do that. But no one does. I don't even, honestly, I does he play for Washington?
I think so.
Okay,
Shea is the one who plays for Atlanta, right? And Sarr's for Washington. Exactly. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know right there. We're pretty big NBA fans, and we don't even know who this dude plays for.
Like, I'm knuckle deep in basketball, and I still don't. I'm not 100% confident that's where he plays. This is so with Paige, I sold as soon as the March Madness tournament started. So if you were bold enough to stay till the end, then I would say selling now is the marker, because there's more people that are going to watch March Madness than are going to watch the WNBA draft. The big hype marker is here, and it's past actually. So I, like, if you haven't listed already, no one's going to care about it in a couple weeks. So I would say, now is the time to sell Paige. But then I also had an interesting discussion with Turner this weekend. And I just want to kind of talk through some of that for a second. So Turner texted me yesterday and said there's a freshman girl from UConn who's had a monster game today. That's going to be a big name next couple of years. Her name is Sarah Strong. She's also in the Bowman Chrome U set that Coop just came out in. And I was like, oh, I know Sarah Strong. I'm watching her cook right now. And he goes, definitely one to invest in. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. A little caution for me. One, because she's a post. And he said, makes sense. She can stretch it and shoot it too, though, for what it's worth. I said, yeah, I see that. But I think there's very few girls in girls basketball right now that I would even think about. So it'll be very unique. And then he said, Juju 100% question mark. And I said, careful, you know who. Careful, you know who. And so we're basically just talking about like, girls basketball in general. But I just told him, I said, yeah, it's just, I think it's going to be a really hard season to invest in girls basketball unless it's Caitlin Clark. I'm back to your take about like, if they're not named Caitlin Clark, it's not worth it. And I think the only other person I'm willing to at least like think about right now is Paige Bueckers in a draft night uniform, like in that little draft night thing. And even that, I'm going to probably not buy huge into that because who's going to buy that? You know what I'm saying? Like, who wants it? Like there's going to be some people there will be a play being made on that card by me, but it won't be on a card being made by you. Like even the asterisk is not going to fit there. You're going to make the Shedeur Sanders play and you're going to make the Cooper play, but you're not going to make the Page play. I'm going to make the Page play and Turner's probably going to make the Page play, but it's still not as juicy. I'm not going to order 100 of them. I'm going to order 20, and even that, I'm just going to expect, marginal win from that. So I do think Cameron Brink, just to follow this up, I did say this a couple weeks ago, I do think Cameron Brink could be a sell in the next couple of months because she's coming off the injury and because she has a lot of fans, because there's a lot of sickos out there for her for other reasons. But I'll just leave that at that.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, Lefty. No, I do know what you're talking about, but yeah, we should probably leave that there. But yeah, I think you are onto something with everything that you're saying. And I appreciate you acknowledging that I definitely had that take a long time ago, which is it's just not as big of a market. I mean, it's one thing to be a fan and to be excited about the next great women's basketball player, because definitely that game is evolving and it is growing in terms of a fan base and legitimacy, and not only the pro level, but also the college level. So that's great, but it doesn't mean that the sports card market is going to respond. Now, will certain players sell well out of new releases? Sure. And I think that's what we saw with Paige. But where I was telling everybody is like, what's going to make her value go up after this, right? And I think that's what I'm most concerned with. So yeah, I don't think that Paige's value is necessarily going to get much higher. I don't think that Juju's value is necessarily going to get much higher. I don't think people like Lauren Betts. I mean, you look at people like Lauren Betts, who's like in commercials during March Madness for AT&T and like getting some features for her play at UCLA. She's 6'7", and her cards sell, but what about her cards? What about her is going to give us an indication that she makes sense to buy into, so that we can make money in the future? I don't think much. I mean, could there be another player besides Caitlin Clark that lights the world on fire and sees a spike? Could it be Cameron Brink? Yeah, that's a great call by you. Could it be Paige Bueckers? Yeah, absolutely. Like, she's in line to potentially be someone who could go up in value. I just don't know that the market is big enough to sustain anything beyond just like a one-time massive performance spike. And so when I see UConn win the national championship, I think maybe it is a selling marker for Paige Bueckers. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the women's basketball market for sports cards isn't going to grow and be strong. I just think it's going to be Caitlin Clark, number 1 through 100. And then I think Paige, Juju, Cameron, all those people are like tied for number 101. And the market is not big enough yet to sustain more than just Caitlin Clark. I don't think. I mean, I might go back and do Caitlin Clark draft night plays while you and Turner are doing the Page draft night plays. Now, I do think the Page draft night plays probably will be something that we talk about on the Sports Card Strategy Show as something that maybe people should do just because of the low entry point. I mean, it's going to end up being less than $5 a card for Panini. And then
I'm still going to do it. So
$20 for the grading fee or $25 for the grading fee. I think in PSA 10, those will probably go for at least $50, if not 90 to 100 potentially. So you guys could make quite a bit of money off of those. And I know there's a lot of Juju truthers out there. So I'll probably get trolled like I was trolled by somebody else that we're not going to talk about. Zachary Richard was the number 1 overall pick by Atlanta. Alex Sarr was the number 2 overall pick by Washington. So you were right about that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about.
Well, I was wrong about him being number 1.
Yeah, you were wrong about him being number 1, but you were right about his team.
Point is, who cares about that?
Right, exactly. And let's go to Vlad Guerrero because he's a guy that you have talked about a lot. And he just signed a deal with Toronto, a massive deal. What, $500 million? And I see, like, for example, his 2016 Bowman Chrome blue refractor, first prospect auto in BGS 9.5 out of 150. So there's a lot less than 150 of those in BGS 9.5, but that's up $366 from a sale yesterday, right? So they're based on the contract news. Is this a selling marker for Vlad Guerrero Jr., Lefty?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And here's why I say it like, yeah, because, well, props to Vladdy. First off, Vladdy Jr. signed a 14-year extension worth $500 million and probably a little bit more. None of it's deferred. It's all going to come straight to him. They did not pull the Dodgers thing where he's going to be paid till and forever. But the winner and loser, quote unquote, of this, the winner is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the loser is us. Because the reason why I say that is because the reason why I brought up Vladdy Jr. in the first place was I saw all sorts of writing on the wall of how he was going to be in a different franchise because the different franchise was going to boost his market. The insanity of who was going to get him was going to boost his market. He was going to go in and then show up at a different market and then show up for a World Series team that was going to be awesome, blah, blah, blah. I was painting all these narratives in my head, and then I forgot to think about, oh, yeah, what if the Blue Jays actually do pull off him returning? Worst case scenario for us, yes. As in my opinion, as a card for his card market, because he doesn't have any new fan base. He doesn't have any new fan base that's now like, oh, I got to go buy me a Vladdy card. He has the same people that loved him before, the same people that love him. Maybe now you'll have people go out and buy him now that he's going to be a Blue Jay for life, but that is minuscule in comparison to, if he had gone to the Yankees, every Yankee fan going out there and getting a baseball card. And to be honest, I just think this sucks for baseball. Like, Vladdy on the Blue Jays, just wah, wah. No, thank you, bro. Like, Vladdy on the freaking Angels if the Angels are going to do anything else in comparison to the Dodgers, or him in, even in an Astro uniform or something, like that would have been sick. You put him in a freaking Boston Red Sox uni, that goes out of control. Vladdy Jr. in a Blue Jays light blue, fade that. No, thank you. So honestly, worst case scenario for us.
Speaking of light blue, there was some spicy talk between you and I before the show about the Dukies losing. So let's talk about that real quick.
We gotta move on from Vladdy G.
So Cooper Flagg has played very, very well. Let's just say that. Duke's loss was disappointing for Duke fans.
Right.
Cooper Flagg has played very, very well. Let's pat ourselves on the back, Lefty, for encouraging everyone in the nooffseason.com family to make several Cooper Flagg plays that they have likely since profited on. And I want to have a bit of a Cooper Flagg discussion here with you, because his number one card, the Bowman U Now, where he's dunking, his first card, had some spike sales in spite of the loss. There was a sale for, there were 3 more sales over $100, including a sale at $157. There was a sale at $90. And then, of course, there were several more in that $60 to $65 range. So remember last episode or a couple episodes ago, I said, this is a $60 to $65 card. And you were saying, hey, you can also make $90 to $100 or even more on it. I think we're both right. I mean, there are dozens more sales at $60 to $65, but there were sales, one at $157 and a few more at over $100. Now, another weird thing is someone had one listed for $29.99 and a buy it now.
Dumb.
And didn't adjust that. And so somebody sniped that for $29.99. So you have sales of this card literally from $29.99 all the way up to $157 over the weekend. I think where I want to go with this is a couple of directions, but first let's start with, how did you do? Were you and are you still holding any more of that number one in PSA 10? Were you able to actually have any listed during the Final Four, and how did you do on those?
I sold every one of them but 5. So I had 60. I had 45 10s, 15 9s. So I had 60 of the number one card, and then I have 30 of the third version, where he's yelling in the white Duke uniform. So the white Duke uniform ones are still on auction, but it looks like those are all
44, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But I just know it's like the second or third one that came out. So for me, I sold all of them but 5 because I wanted to sell 5 of them at the lottery just to see what just for a data point. None of mine sold over $79. 79 was the highest sale of a PSA 10 that I did over the weekend, but most of them sold for between $64 and $70. I had one that sold for $58. So somebody got a deal on that one, but most of them sold for like $66, $67, $68. One of them sold for $79. So respectively, I quote unquote balled out on Cooper Flagg because I 4x'd this card 45 times, which is sick. This could have been a very scary play for me. Ended up being one of the biggest wins I've ever had. I also sold all the PSA 9s, which just is profit on top. And actually, just for the data point, for what it's worth, I had one of my PSA 9s sell for, I had one of the PSA 9s sell for almost $50. Yeah, $50. So I had one of them sell for $50 and get paid for, which is crazy because I also had one sell for $9. So I don't know what the heck happened with that $50 one. Maybe they just thought they were bidding on a 10. I don't know. They did pay for it though. Most of those sold for around $25. So I almost got out, even with all my 9s almost. So now with, processing and all that kind of stuff, I did take a loss on 15 of them, but with such a massive win on the 10s, dude, I'm swimming in profit in this card. And I'm excited to have 5 left just to see where that goes. But at the same time, I'd have been fine if those 5 sold this week too. So I still have a couple that are pending payments. So maybe those won't get paid for. And then I'll have to, you know how that works. So, there are some people probably that don't pay. So out of 45 10s, if I have 5 that don't pay, I'll be fine or whatever. I'll just relist them. But very, very excited about this play. One of the most confident plays I've ever made in the sports card world. And it definitely went well. I honestly would have thought earlier that they would have sold for more, but I'm glad with where I'm happy with what I got,
I mean, it was a great play for all of us that made it. And make no mistake, I mean, Cooper Flagg, getting in and out of Cooper Flagg is a huge move right now. We are saying nothing about how good he's going to be in the NBA. I personally think he will be a stud in the NBA based on what I've seen. I mean, he came in and won the Naismith Player of the Year, for crying out loud. As a
Can I
freshman.
ask you a basketball question real quick?
Yes.
Do you think he's the best freshman that's ever played?
I'm not ready to say that.
Okay.
I'd have to do some research and thought on that. But I mean, you're talking about Carmelo Anthony. You're talking about, you've got Magic Johnson. You've got, there's been a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I said. I'm just asking the question.
I would probably say no to that, but I haven't really like looked intensely at it. But my knee-jerk reaction is no. But I do think Cooper Flagg is going to be a legitimate pro. I think he's going to be almost Wemby-esque as the number one pick. I mean, they're two different kinds of players, obviously. I think I see Cooper Flagg needing to improve a lot, but I see that he's, all the minutes he played, he's not going to need to do a lot of the things at the pro level that he needed to do for Duke, which I think will allow him to actually be better. So what I mean is like, he would get tired on defense. And like he left Cryer open on a wide open three. It's because he's tired. He's doing everything. He's like, he's blocking shots. He's playing on ball. He's playing off ball. He's boxing out. He's getting rebounds. He's taking threes. He's penetrating. He's handling the ball. Like, he's doing everything. Could you make an argument for him being the best freshman of all time? Probably. I mean, he won the Naismith Award, for crying out loud. If he would have won the championship, I think it would have been a situation where now you could start to really have the argument about it. But I think that I do think he will be a legit pro. I actually don't see how you could make an argument easily against him being a legit pro based on what he's done in a short period of time. And he's 6'9". I mean, he can do it all. More on Cooper Flagg to come, by the way. That's a little foreshadowing. We're going to continue to talk about Cooper, but LJ Cryer, who beat Cooper Flagg on Saturday night and will play in the championship game against Florida later today. Those of you listening might have already happened, but Cryer really, it's kind of funny when you look at this. Like, his 2022 Bowman U Chrome First Lava Refractor Auto out of 199 was really the only card that had any momentum yesterday, which would have been, obviously after the big win. Really just 3 sales for an average of $15.33. And that's an auto lava refractor out of 199 versus, it's just, it took that kind of a card to only sell for an average of $15. So it just tells you, like, okay, he obviously, for obvious reasons, like, doesn't project to be the type of player that will have a selling marker in the future, like a Cooper Flagg. But it's just interesting to see that his probably number one selling marker of all time really only got $15 for his card. I think that's an example on the men's side of what we're talking about on the women's side. The market probably isn't big enough to sustain any more than one big player at any given time on the college basketball level for men's or for women. Walter Clayton Jr. only has On It cards, which I found to be funny. Couple other sports card related sports news items that I wanted to talk about before we continue on in the show real quick. Joe Milton traded to the Cowboys. We definitely have to talk about this because, football cards are huge. Speaking of like tiny market to massive market, now we're talking about a player who's a backup quarterback getting traded, probably having more impact than, somebody winning the NCAA title on the men's side, right? So you've got Joe Milton being traded to the Cowboys to likely be Dak Prescott's backup. He probably will have some value in the preseason as well. But I mean, a lot of Joe Milton sales over the weekend. I think this is a sell alert on Joe Milton. I think you're probably going to have a lot of people who want to buy into Joe Milton because of this and take the prospecting of him being, you know, the backup QB strategy that we talk about, that, you know, if you can pick the backup QB for a big team and the starter gets injured and the backup comes in and plays well, their cards do go bananas. So I'm not saying that's not possible for Joe Milton. I just think right now would be a great selling marker for Joe Milton sitting here on April 7th, getting traded to the Cowboys, little hype around him in the news cycle. Lefty, what do you think about all of that?
My overreaction to this is that Snoop Dogg meme that says, "Who?" You know, that one. Like, I'm just like, Joe Milton? What the heck? If you have Joe Milton cards, yeah, go ahead and sell them. But this isn't a guy I think that's going to, you know, break the box score. Let's just put it that way. I'm not going out and trying to find a sneaky play on Joe Milton. But if you have them, go ahead and sell them. I think it was interesting a couple weeks ago when there was fire on the flame of, are the Browns going to trade for Dak Prescott now that Myles Garrett has made a stand that says that he's the quarterback they want to bring. He wants them to bring in since he signed that massive contract. But the Cowboys, you know, doused those flames, those little embers, they doused them in water. So that's not happening. But Joe Milton, I think, could get some preseason run. He's not one of the quarterbacks that I'm going to go after in this offseason. But you do have to imagine that Dak Prescott does have an injury history. So it would be conceivable that you will have an opportunity to make some money here. It's just not the one I'm going to go after. But that doesn't mean that there's not opportunity here, like you said, because it's a massive market and he is going to play for potentially, you know, America's team, quote unquote. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Milton played well. I can see I would not be surprised if a lot of NoOffseason.com family members are not super hype about some type of Joe Milton backup QB strategy heading into 2025. I would just say pump your brakes a little bit though, because I mean, right now, Joe Milton's raw Prism Silver from 2024, charting it here using our new tool that I'm going to talk about here in a second at NoOffseason.com, average sale $35 for that. Last sale $31.64 yesterday after the trade news. There was also one for $40 yesterday after the trade news. So probably a good selling marker for Joe Milton. Maybe he's somebody you buy back in on later if you really want to, you know, make a flyer play on Joe Milton. But I'll tell you this, $35 for a Prism Silver Raw is no flyer. That's risky right there.
Yeah.
So,
but he did play for a team that you hate. So he was a Michigan player from 2018 to 2020.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm fading Joe Milton big time. I
knew that would get you.
I knew he played for Tennessee, but I didn't know he played for the worst team in the history of college football.
I knew that would get you.
But now, I mean, switching gears to a player that I do love and that we should all love here in the NoOffseason.com family, Travis Hunter signs a deal to be Panini exclusive. Came through my inbox just a few minutes before the show from Panini's PR agency. Travis Hunter, Panini exclusive. This means that he's only going to sign autographs for Panini. So Panini, I believe, Lefty, is still scheduled to be the producer of licensed NFL cards for the 2025 season.
Yeah.
So that would mean that at least some Travis Hunter autographs will be on licensed Panini products, as far as I know, unless anybody out there has differing information. This is interesting because a lot of people are going to Fanatics. Travis Hunter going with Panini exclusively for autographs.
Yeah, There's another gross overreaction for this is like we've seen this happen before, and it's just like, what do these actually mean? Because sometimes like we saw the Dylan Cruz one. It's like, yeah, it's exclusive, and then his autos ended up in Bowman, and we're just like, what the heck, So I do like this though because it's the last year of the NFL being a Panini product. 2026, I believe, is when Fanatics will take that over exclusively. Plus, I think that means there's going to be some really exciting Panini instant plays with Travis Hunter. I say that with some caution because typically we've never done anybody outside of a quarterback that's worth it. But I think this guy could be a little bit different just because of his how polarizing he is and how polarizing his market is. And he could be the number 1 overall draft pick as well. So I think it will, we're only, I guess, 23 days out or something like that from the NFL draft. So I think there could be a lot of crazy stuff that changes between now and when the NFL draft starts. But Travis Hunter's market is interesting to me. And it's interesting that like there will be some autographs out there. I don't know if I'll stretch for an auto unless it's like an out of 99 Arch Manning type, instant now type thing. I could do that in terms of if I can get it straight from Panini, I might roll the dice on that. But I will make a Panini instant play on this guy, that's for sure. But you know who won't? Paul Hickey, because
that's right. That's
because
right.
he can't.
I will not because I can't. Although, yeah, I mean, it's a good call by you because this is a big get for Panini. I mean, I really do think it's a big get for Panini, like you're saying. And now we won't see while we will, like, to your point about Dylan Cruz, like, a lot of times an athlete has already signed something for a company and then they become exclusive for another company. So in this case, as the same with Caitlin Clark, she signed for Bowman release and then she became Panini exclusive. So all of her pro stuff is Panini. That'll be the same for Travis Hunter. We're still going to see, obviously, his Bowman autographs from the release in 2023 are going to be out there. This kind of explains why he wasn't in the 2024 Bowman release, which I didn't really care about because really his better cards are in the 2023 release. So yeah, we're still gonna see those floating out there, and they might be big cards being sold over the draft or maybe even during the NFL preseason. I think I'm intrigued by Travis Hunter's market as well. I think it's probably going to crescendo during the preseason. I don't know that a skill position player, potential two-way player would sustain a long-term market in the NFL unless he actually is dominant, like a Justin Jefferson on the offensive side of the ball, and maybe also playing shutdown corner or something like that on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know. Like, I know Travis Hunter's good enough to play both ways. I don't know that he's good enough to dominate in the NFL on both sides, like Shohei has dominated as a pitcher and a hitter. I don't know that that's necessarily possible for a full-time two-way player to dominate. I think he'll play both ways. I just don't know that he'll, like I said, be like a top-tier player at both positions, but certainly someone that I think is going to have a hot football card market, at least throughout his rookie season. Would I buy into Travis Hunter? No. But would I make some potential draft night plays like you're talking about, raw to grade type thing for the low cost for entry? Absolutely. Will I personally do it? Like you said, no, because I've limited myself to 5 players plus 2 asterisks, Cooper Flagg and Shedeur Sanders. But I think that could be interesting. So that's why I wanted to talk about that news. Another thing that I want to talk about that is breaking news is we have talked about a card analyzer and predictor tool at nooffseason.com. We soft launched one a few weeks ago. That went so well that what I did was I brought on some additional development resources at nooffseason.com to launch a better version of the card analyzer and predictor tool that we launched a few weeks ago. Now there is more that you can do. So basically the way that this works, Lefty, is you go to nooffseason.com, you click on card analyzer and predictor, you search for a card, it's going to immediately bring up the eBay sold listings of that card. Now, as we all know, the eBay sold listings, for the most part, as long as your search query is somewhat specific, it's going to pretty much bring up most of the results for the exact search query that you typed in. Although sometimes you'll get some extra stuff that isn't necessarily what you want, the card that you wanted to be looking at. So Lefty, maybe if you'll indulge me here and just throw out a specific card that you want me to search for so that we can demo this tool for everybody.
I was demoing it myself, so I'm going to just tell you what I just typed in.
Okay.
When I first open mine up, LeBron James comes up. I guess that's
the default result. So initially you're going to see all sales for LeBron James items, and then you just go in and search a card to get started.
So I searched, just for fun, one of my favorite cards of all time, Kobe Bryant 2008-2009 Topps, number 24.
Okay, great. Kobe Bryant 2008-2009 Topps. What's the card number? 24. 20 what?
24.
24. Okay, his jersey number. There we go. So you're going to see search results for this card. Now, if you're looking to buy it raw, and it's going to come, you're going to see some raw search results. You're going to see some BGS grades, some PSA grades, things like that. So just the good thing that I like about this tool is you can immediately sort by most recent sales or by highest price. So that's up to you. It's going to tell you when it was sold on. This is already a time saver, Lefty, off the bat, because you don't have to go to eBay anymore and filter by sold listings. You can just do this, and it's already filtering it by the eBay sold listings for you. If you want to click on the photo of the item, it will take you to that eBay result. But what I like about this tool is you just select the cards that you want to chart. So because you're searching for raw, just don't chart any of the graded ones. Just chart the most recent raw sales. So you can do that. So I've charted 3 of them here. Now I'm going to chart 5, 6. I'll stop at 6, but you can go as many as you want. Then all you need to do, so it's going to show you the average price up here on the right-hand corner. It works well on mobile too. You can deselect all if you change your mind, or you can deselect individual ones if you change your mind. But next step, just click chart. So once you click chart, it's going to show you the chart of the card that you just selected, and it will show you the last sale with the sale date, $99.99 on April 6th, and it averages it out for you. So out of all the cards you charted, $80.80. Now, if you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, you will see a button that says Analyze Card. So the first part is you've got a pricing tool. And oh, by the way, if you're not a premium member at nooffseason.com, you've still got the pricing tool. So you're welcome, everybody, for the free pricing tool. Might be better than 130 point already. Just saying. Now, if you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, just click Analyze Card, and you're going to see a little modal window here that pops up. This is where you can either put in photos of the front and the back of the card that you want analyzed, or you can paste up to 2 URLs of a card that maybe you're looking at wanting to buy and have us analyze for you. So now, what's cool about this is within 1 to 5 business days, but typically it's going to be closer to the 1 business day, you will be able to go to your dashboard at nooffseason.com, which is basically your homepage. And you will see at the top of your homepage of nooffseason.com when you're logged in, you will see your recent submissions to the tool, as well as the analysis and the recommendation. And it'll look similar to this. So if your recommendation is, this card has a chance to gem at PSA, grade it now and sell it when you get it back, boom, you got a good looking card. Or we might say, hey, your card is unlikely to gem. Here's a link to a card that we think has a better chance to gem. And then you could click that link, and we might link you to an auction. We might link you to, something else on the web that might be a better purchase for you. So it'll depend obviously on what card you all upload and, in terms of what recommendation you get, but you basically now have a pricing tool as well as a card analyzer and predictor tool at nooffseason.com. And we built this fucker pretty quick for all of you. Hope you like it. We're going to continue to make improvements to it, but it's up and running right now. Today's the first day that it is up and running live at nooffseason.com. I'd love it if all of you go check it out. Let me know what you think. You'll get your card analysis soon. And like I said, we're going to continue to make improvements to this tool. Right now, I think it's already a big time saver, very valuable, and unlike anything else out there. Lefty, what do you think?
Well, this is amazing, first off, because I think if this just made, nooffseason.com probably my most, I would have guessed over the next month, it'll be my most visited website in the world. Because now I'm just going to do this all day. I found a little tidbit. I found this amazing card from that same simple search result. Come on, Adam Morrison. Blast from the past.
Hey.
I don't know why that came up with some Kobe Bryant cards. Pretty hilarious to me. But this Adam Morrison Topps Finest rookie card is hilarious. But this tool is amazing, dude. I do think this is easier than 130 point. This is good. This is good stuff, dude. I'm in on this.
Thank you. I think this is out of all we've had some amazing, we still have all of our other features.
And this isn't me just getting hyped for no reason. This is the first time I'm officially seeing it in action as well. I saw the other rendition the same way you guys did, but this is the first time Paul is showing this to me in action. So this is not me just like, oh man, I'm going to say it when we get on the pod later. No, I saw it in the show notes, but I hadn't seen it in action. And I was just Kobe Bryant, 2008, 2009 Topps straight off the dome, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I'm excited. This is it's a huge time saver. I think the UI UX design is far better than 130 point. I think the utility of it is far better than 130 point. Just how it works, being that you can select your own card results and then chart them it doesn't do all of what Market Movers does, obviously, but I think it has the potential as we add features to it to have some things that are way better than Market Movers. I think there are some things about it already that are way better than Market Movers and Card Ladder, but I think it's not a tool that's meant currently to house the data, the historical data that Card Ladder and Market Movers have. So for example, Card Ladder and Market Movers are basically racing each other to see how many cards can we get in our database. And that's not necessarily the essence of this tool. The essence of this tool is we're allowing all of you to search for your own card that you're interested in the pricing data on, chart the accurate results of the cards from the search results. And then if you have a card like that you want analyzed in terms of, should I grade this or should I buy this, put it in there and you're going to get an analysis, and no other tool does that. So there you go.
Can I ask you a perspective question about this tool's development in the future, or do you want me to say?
Yeah, you're going to ask for you're gonna ask for a feature request. Go ahead, Lefty. Since you're my guy, go ahead and put a feature request out.
So I just ran another card through this, and I wonder where your thoughts are on this feature request. So I just ran Travis Bazzana's Bowman Chrome Auto through this. Really briefly, it comes out with the last sale 162.50, average sale 148, and the analyzed card here is that's awesome. What I wonder is if you already have plans for this, is if there could be, the combination of the results from the other tool, the other my brain's all mixed up because of how excited I am right now.
Thinking about so many tools right now.
there's so many tools.
So many tools.
But like if we had like the gem rate or something that was able to pop up here to see if the card was a great option for a raw to grade investment,
like integrating it with the sports card rankings.
Yeah, I like that. I love that thought.
Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah, that is where.
That's sick. I love that. I know. Great feature request. Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I think where my mind was at is like, what if we integrated the gem rate data in there and showed some of that? But I think like it would be better to integrate it with the formula and say, okay, like this card raw to grade currently shows a 65% ROI on the formula. Like that would be badass. So it'd be quite a bit of development work, but I mean, you never know. I will say, like, I was shocked at how quickly we were able to get this built. Like it literally only took like 2 to 3 weeks to build this. So you never know. I mean, we might be able to,
there it is.
Be able to do it.
I would never go to another website ever.
We already think that it's going to be your most visited website, but we're gonna try to give everybody a reason to never go to another website ever.
There you go.
That's our goal. Okay, so now I was looking at Cooper Flagg for our featured auction of the week segment, and I thought, all things considered, sports card rankings, card analyzer and predictor tool, all this talk about Cooper Flagg. Oh my gosh, he's got the Bowman U Chrome cards out right now. What plays, if any, would make sense from that release? Now, there is a janky grading company called Sideline Grading Co. This is clearly made up. This is not like an actual grading company so much as it is some dude slabbing cards with a label. And their eBay seller profile is Sideline Grading Co. So basically what they're doing is they're an eBay seller, but they're giving grades to cards. So Cooper Flagg, his Bowman Chrome U first, which by the way, I think is kind of a crappy action shot. Like, I think they could have done better on that, but anyway.
Yeah, especially compared to his Topps #1 card. It looks awesome.
His Topps #1 card is sick. These are selling for $55 in this like janky slab. So that got me thinking, as we're speaking today, there's no PSA 10 that I'm aware of that exists or that has sold for this card. But it got me thinking, if janky Sideline Grading is selling for $55 in their quote unquote Gem Mint 10, that should be this card raw to grade very well should be over $100. True or false? Lefty, what do you think when it's first to the market?
Yeah, I think 100 is pretty obtainable. I mean, if the Bowman U ones, well, I mean, I'm way more comfortable honestly at 65, 70, because we've already seen his other cards sell for that in PSA 10.
Yep.
But those are a Topps now. This is a Bowman U Chrome, which could have longer runway down the road. I still think this card is, like you said, not as good of an action shot, and I think that plays into how long a card goes into perpetuity. Like, you know, like in 2040, is this card going to be one that everybody's excited about? But first to the market, I could see this being 125, card. Yeah, like exactly what Zach just said in the live chat. I could see that first to the market, but I think it rests somewhere around $60. And if I'm looking at the most recent sold on our new featured tool, I take the number 5 most recent sales, and I've charted them, and the average is $11.79. So
yeah, which I like a lot as a raw to grade play.
Same.
And I don't think any Cooper Flagg card that exists now or that will exist short of his rookie releases in NBA uniforms are going to sustain value. Like, I mean, I think like there was a comment earlier by, I think Hector, about like Flagg potentially being overrated, nothing to move the needle on later. Well, I get that, but like, we're just talking about getting in and out of Cooper Flagg right now. Like, that's all we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, no Cooper Flagg card that exists right now is going to hold value long term. So like, I think that of all the cards that exist for Cooper Flagg right now, the one that I would recommend people go after next would be this base raw to grade, because you can get them, to your point, an average of $11, and we don't know yet, but I think we all agree that it's going to fall somewhere between 100, let's just say safely $80 to $120. So maybe averaging out $100 on the first run of PSA 10s that hit the market. And then to your point, even if it's 65, which I like why you're saying that, because you're just saying, let's be the most conservative we can possibly be. So the most conservative we can possibly be is like his number one Bowman U Chrome, or Bowman U Now, rather, sorry. Number one Bowman U Now in a PSA 10, $65. So has sustained value for a while there. Has, like, in spite of other Cooper Flagg cards coming out, still $65. I think we can safely say $30 to $35-ish investment, getting a PSA 10. Worst case scenario, you're getting $65 back, probably more likely like double that for a while, because it's Cooper Flagg. So because of that, my featured auction would be just the Cooper Flagg Bowman U Chrome first cards. Go to eBay. So here's my tip. Go to eBay, search Cooper Flagg Bowman U Chrome first, toggle to auction, and then sort by price plus shipping lowest first. And then look at cards that you think are gemmable and bid on them. Lefty, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to do that? I don't know that I am.
I don't think you are.
I don't think I am. So I think this is something where I'm just giving everybody a free tip to make money flipping sports cards here.
Now, what I will allow you to do is buy as many as you see fit, and I will pay for them.
Okay.
Because I like your odds. I like you looking at cards, and I like you like.
Yeah. So you're gonna outsource to me.
Yeah, you can curate you.
So you're gonna outsource my knowledge. I like it. Lefty's gonna outsource now. Like, I'll be his. I'll
give you 10% of all sales.
Do that for you. I could do that for you for fun. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're confused by grading your cards with PSA, grade with us at nooffseason.com. Send us your cards. We do the hard part and save you money. We also track your gem rate for you. And guess what now, Lefty? You can choose your service. You can choose your feature at nooffseason.com. So this is another thing I just changed about the website. We have the full package where you get all of our features, but now you can also go to nooffseason.com and just choose a feature of all the features that we have, and you could just pay for that feature if you want. So whatever you do, however you slice it, you can save 20% at nooffseason.com now by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON. If you like the content on this show, you get an extra weekly Friday podcast for premium members. Again, you can choose that if you want. If you don't want anything else that we offer, which I don't know why you would do that, but if you don't want anything else that we offer other than just listening to Lefty and I an extra time every week on the premium podcast and getting unlimited advice from us on the premium podcast, you could just buy that if you want. Just go to nooffseason.com. Again, you can use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20%. So Lefty, let's go to From the Formula. Couple of cards from our sports card rankings at nooffseason.com that we want to talk about today. Again, we have the only sports card rankings that exist on the web that I'm aware of, that exist in the world. I don't know what I say on the web. It kind of dates me a little bit, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right. Get gray hair and hearing aids. Gray hair and hearing aids.
Gray hair and hearing aids.
And hearing aids and gray here.
You got hearing aids? What?
I did. I got hearing aids.
Really?
Because I can't hear.
That makes me excited about going to Fanatics Fest with you now.
Well, I was gonna tell you. Remember in our hotel room with Turner?
Yeah.
Every time I was like, "What? What?" And you're like, "Bro, you can't hear anything." And I'm like,
there were literally times where you wouldn't even get to the what. We would literally be talking to you, and you would just be like,
"I know."
And I'm like, "Ball."
Well, come to find out, I got a hearing test last week. I can't hear 60% of speech sounds. So I got hearing aids, and away we go.
Dude, you're gonna be so locked in at Fanatics Fest. Everyone's gonna.
I can hear everything now. Like I literally went to my daughter's golf match and then my son's 7-on-7 game, and I could look at a conversation 30 yards away, and I could hear their conversation. Supersonic hearing now, baby. Let's go.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, brother.
Honestly, that takes humility, and that's good. Good job.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I didn't want to do it, but doing it for
the kids,
people around me. As much as I'd like to just ignore everyone, I had to do it for the people around me that I love, including you, Lefty. Only sports card rankings that I'm aware of in the world at all, on the web or off the web, are at nooffseason.com. And every once in a while, we pull a couple of cards that we think are good investments to talk about from the formula. Raw to grade, Anthony Edwards, 2020 Prism Silver 258. Going back to the well here. How many times have I talked about this card? A lot. Target cost, $157. Projected ROI, 47%. Another card, projected ROI, 47%. Another card I've talked about a lot, Joe Burrow, 2020 Optic Hollow, 151 raw to grade, $101 target cost. I mean, Lefty, why not just go make money? Like, why does everyone feel like they have to get cute with it or be like smarter than everyone else? And somebody just asked in the Instagram live chat, by the way, Bridge City Sports Card, shout out. Bridge City says, who's the best QB buy right now, boys? Well, we got a couple more coming up for you, Bridge City. Great timing of this question. But Joe Burrow, why not go to his 2020 Optic Hollow 151 raw to grade? Now, a bunch of naysayers out there will be like, oh, but Paul, it's from 2020. It's been picked over, blah, 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 blah. Dude, really? You think a card that they mass produced a ridiculous amount have all been picked over? Lefty, what do you think about these two cards?
They have not been picked over, man. We've made so many plays on this kind of a play. I mean, we've made plays on cards from 2016. Anthony Edwards, especially with this being a card that is so prestigious, there are people out there that just like raw cards. Now, they're weird, and we can profit off of those kind of people, but
there are a lot of them.
There are a lot of them, and there's a lot of these cards specifically. And there are so many people that are afraid to grade cards. Like, if you hear anything from us, especially when we talk about our premium pod and stuff, there are commonly people that are like, this is my first time grading. This is like, I'm a little bit nervous. Like, this card like maybe not be exactly perfect. And for me and Paul, we're just like, hey, grade it all. You never know. And
complete the play.
Like literally last week, Paul was like, I don't even take it out. I don't even look at it. Just send it in, baby. So it's like Anthony Edwards was a guy straight from the rip that had high value. And what we like about that scenario is when somebody pulled it from the pack originally, they knew what they had. And so that card has been sleeved and top loaded from the beginning. So the likelihood that it's been protected well is good, because one, it was expensive to get into Prism. So you're not having like a 10-year-old that's like, oh, look, an Anthony Edwards card most of the time, unless, I mean, nowadays me and Paul walk around and we feel like we're the geriatrics in the room. But the point of it is, like, this card has been respected for a while. Therefore, I believe you can get in at this 157 target cost. And even if you are selling at $600-700, I think that's still a great play.
Yeah, and there are people in the live chat bitching about the PSA turnaround times. And look, guys,
don't care.
It doesn't matter when you get this card back. You're going to make the profit on it. That's our rankings take into account the fact that there is a turnaround time at PSA, whether it's 40 days, whether it's 60 days, whether it's 90 days. It doesn't matter. Like you're going to get this card back in 3 months. Big whoop. It's if you buy one that is going to gem or PSA 9 and you buy multiple of them at the target cost, that is what our rankings takes into account. So you will win far more often than you'll lose. And yeah, there are going to be things that happen in real life that might change the value of this card a little bit. So for example, and maybe you miss a selling marker, but look, you can't win. Not 100% is going to go your way. We're here to help you make money flipping sports cards. So if you want to be a naysayer and you want to say something about a raw to grade play that's going to take longer because you send it into PSA, that's just you being less competition for us who are going to bid on these cards and make money bidding on these cards. But if you don't want to take advantage of our recommendations, because of some reason that you see like PSA taking longer, that's fine. But again, the fact of the matter is when you get your card back, as long as you buy one that has a chance to gem, you're going to put yourself in a position where you're going to make money on the cards that we recommend for you more often than just cards that you come up with out of thin air. And so look, if you want to buy an Anthony Edwards card and not get it graded, good luck with that going up in value as well. Enough for you to sell. So I'm reacting to some comments in the Instagram live chat right now about people saying, well, 3 months, whatever, it's going to be in the middle of next season. Yeah, whatever. The point is we've done the work. We've done the math. We've done the analysis for you in our sports card rankings. We're pulling them out. Both of these cards, whenever you get them back, doesn't matter. You will make money on them. If you're frustrated with PSA, grade with CGC. It's the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today. Obviously, you're not going to get the value on the secondary market with CGC that you would with PSA, but you get your cards back quicker. So if you want to go that route, you can. It's also great for PC grading needs over at CGC Cards. So anyway, Lefty, sorry, I just my blood starts to boil a bit when people just start to poke holes in everything. But I think we've thought of everything. What do you think?
I think that I don't want your blood to start boiling because this is totally different than you hearing conversations for the first time. You're reading them all, baby. Zach Ellsworth says tip jar, baby. So don't forget about that.
Tip jar. Go to tips.sportscardstrategy.com. Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. I've never understood people just complaining about PSA. Like, they are giving you so much value. Like, I understand. Okay, let me preface. Let me retake what I just said. I've never understood why people are complaining about the turnaround time. This isn't 2020. They're not taking 2.5 years to get it back to you anymore. This is a featured system that they're evaluating probably between 20 and 50 of your cards, and they send them back to you in 4 months with probably 2 to 3x the valuation you sent to them. If you don't have 40 business days or 50 business days to make your card go up double the amount of money, like, take a breath, brother. Like, step back and reevaluate what you've just said,
Yeah. Bridge City Sports Cards is having fun with me. So what? 4-month turn. Here's what I want to say. I gave out 2 plays for free. Nobody else is doing this math. We're doing the math. Anthony Edwards, I could see the point of if you go raw to grade on his Prism Silver, it's going to be at PSA throughout the rest of this season. It will. So great. When you get it back, there will be many more selling markers in Anthony Edwards' career, even the beginning of the 2025-2026 season. Or it also doesn't matter because it's going to have gone up in value. Now, is the Joe Burrow play the perfect timing? Yes. The Joe Burrow play you would think would be the perfect timing because you'd go April, May, June, July, and then you'd get that back right before football season. So the Burrow play is better timing than the Edwards play, but they both work. So they both work. So there you go. Bridge City. The Michael J. And I don't, look, Bridge City, nothing but love, brother. The Michael J agrees with me 100%. Lefty agrees with me 100%. Let's go where they ain't, Lefty. So going where they ain't, like, we're going to talk about going where they ain't in our webinar. This upcoming Friday, there's a webinar. So if you want to join the webinar, it'll be long form discussion with Lefty, myself, Turner, Mo, Fa, Joe, and Jake the Guardian. All of us are going to do kind of a roundtable discussion. And so if you want to join that, go to nooffseason.com/webinar to join. If you're a premium member at nooffseason.com, you can use your member points. If you're not a premium member at nooffseason.com, it'll definitely be worth your $15 to check that out. One of the things we're going to talk about is going where they ain't. Like, what does that actually mean? Is it a viable strategy? All that stuff. Now, we have a segment on the show called Go Where They Ain't. This kind of comes from the thought that you don't want to buy in at the selling marker. You want to buy in when no one is really thinking about the player. And so that's how I think about going where they ain't. And I think this will simultaneously answer a question that we had from Bridge City Sports Cards. Who's the best QB buys right now? These are all quarterbacks from the 2023 draft class. So they're not all raw to grade plays, but the first one is Bryce Young. Bryce Young's Prism Silver 2023 raw is a $45 card. I mean, other than just people who only buy football cards and only follow the NFL, other than those people, no one's thinking about Bryce Young right now. People are still thinking about the national championship game for the men's coming up in college basketball. They're thinking about the NFL draft coming up. They're thinking about baseball, the Masters. Like, it is not NFL season. Now, there really is no off season for the NFL for football cards. But if there ever were a time to potentially look at a quarterback play, now is a pretty decent time. And that's why this is the theme for my going where they ain't. So Bryce Young, his raw Prism Silver is $45. And in PSA 10, it's $211. In PSA 9, it's $46. So, and then when you look at the historical pricing charts, you're looking at a situation where if you get a PSA 10 on Bryce Young, you could sell it right away for a massive profit, or you could even potentially hold it and see it likely go up as the season comes closer. Now, I know Bryce Young has his detractors, but the Panthers believe in him. They're putting weapons around him, and there's a lot of belief in Carolina for Bryce Young. So that's one. Let's go through the other two, and then I'll let Lefty kind of comment on all this, and I'm sure we'll get some people in the live chat chiming in as well. The next one, I believe, is the best of the three in terms of a safe play. Lefty's already brought this up on the Sports Card Strategy Show. I'm just piggybacking off of him, and this is my real answer to Bridge City Sports Cards' question. CJ Stroud's 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10 might be the best buy of all football cards right now. It's a pop 2111. The pop count has totally plateaued on this. It's down to $408. And this was selling for $656. It was selling for even over Christmas. It was selling for between $450 and $500. So as the season, it was selling for $656 in October after CJ Stroud had gotten off to a rough start. His other cards had come out for tops that kind of crushed the value of his Prism cards. Now we're in a situation where it's the buy-in point for this. This is what we talk about. Wait until several months after all of a player's rookie cards have come out and the pop count has plateaued, and then go buy their Prism Silver PSA 10. He's still CJ Stroud. He's still on a Texans team that will compete to go deep into the playoffs. Yes, they lost Stephon Diggs, but they're still going to continue to build around CJ Stroud as their franchise quarterback. There's no doubt about that. Lefty, I think this is the play, really the go where they ain't play of them all right now. We'll get to your comment here in a second. I think a little bit riskier on go where they ain't, but definitely fitting into the theme of going where they ain't. I don't think anyone has any confidence in Anthony Richardson right now, but if you just look at Anthony Richardson's 2023 Prism Silver PSA 10, Pop 1156, that's only $100 card right now. And so when you think about that only being $100, yes, he has Daniel Jones there to compete with now, but he's super young. The Colts are still going to allow him to compete for that job. I mean, that could easily double that. Like, that could easily be a $200 card in September. Is it risky? Yes. But I just kind of wanted to bring up, don't necessarily totally fade this 2023 class. Lefty, what do you think?
I think, okay, so first off, the CJ Stroud, I think, is the best buy of all time. This is I literally, as you were talking, I went and looked at the market movers, and then I found one that is in the price point that I wanted to pay. So I just bought another one, literally as you were talking, because I think it is the best chart. It's the healthiest chart from a grade to grade standpoint right now, because this is going to be a card that goes up in the amount of time that I need it to go up. I think it's one of the healthiest charts that I've seen. And in August and September, when I'm going to be looking at selling this card for profit, it's going to be there. Plus, I don't have to pay taxes on it right now for some reason on eBay, because I can move it to the vault. And if you move anything to the vault, you don't have to pay fees, which is awesome right now. So I got into it at the price point that around the 410 mark or something like that I wanted to get in on it. I found one. So bought another one. The Anthony Richardson card, the chart looks great with that as well. I'm just not as excited about him as a player. I'm not as excited about him as a player or in their franchise as I am about CJ Stroud, but I also think that's a great buy as well. I mean, look how healthy that chart looks right there. So, and you're at like, what is that, 180 day mark?
Mm-hmm,
I can't 180.
Really see.
So if you that is where it's going to sell in another half of a year. So if you have, money to burn right now after making that Cooper Flagg play, and you don't necessarily want to make a raw to grade play on the Shedeur Sanders or the Cooper Draft Night or the Paige Bueckers, or that kind of a play that you're making in the next month or so in regards to some of the draft cards or whatever, and you're like, where should I put my money? I think CJ Stroud right now is a great way to make a 3 to 6 month flip right now.
There you go. So little going where they ain't. I think it's just a reminder to also think about who's not in the news cycle, or at least who's not necessarily thriving currently. It's and don't get too cute with it, but use it as a principle, as a factor to a potential strategy to make money flipping sports cards. All right, up next, we have an exclusive interview with Mike Nett, who is the VP of sports cards at eBay for the US. Mike and I get into a lot of new details about the new announcement from last week that allows us to have a PSA grading option at checkout on eBay. Believe it or not, there is no vault option right now. So that was clarified to me after I recorded this email with Mike. One of their PR people was on the line with me, and she clarified that actually there is no vault option, which I find interesting because I feel like we were all led to believe that there would be a vault option, but there's not. And I know that that really doesn't have anything to do with eBay. That's more of a PSA thing. But I did want to call that out, and I thank everyone at eBay for clarifying this for me, because I had been talking about it to the Sports Card Strategy Show audience and the nooffseason.com fam as if you never had to touch the card. But actually you do. If you're taking advantage right now of the PSA checkout option, PSA grading option at eBay checkout, yes, you will not have to touch the card until it gets to PSA. But then once it's graded, you actually do have to have a return shipping address to then get the card. They have told me that there is no option to then immediately put it in the vault from the eBay account. I would have to assume that that's coming soon though. The other thing that I do want to call out though is that there is a free shipping after grading through June 30th, 2025. And there is also a promo for sellers. So for cards sold over $1,000 that meet the requirements that we're about to talk more about in this interview and that we've already talked about on the Sports Card Strategy Show, for cards sold over $1,000, it's actually going to be half off, and is half off of the final value fee, available through May 4th. You do actually have to sign up for this though. So log into your eBay account, go to ebay.com/sell50, sell50, to sign up for that. I see Lefty's going to go sign up for it right now. And that's another great thing from eBay. And there'll be more after the interview, but let's get into it right now with Mike Nett, VP of Sports Cards at eBay for the US. Here we go. All right. I am now joined by Mike Nett, the director of trading cards at eBay for the US. Mike, how you doing, man?
Hey, Paul. I'm great. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, man. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show and the nooffseason.com family. First of all, I want to say congrats. This feature that we talked about last week is one that we've all been waiting for a long time as collectors and sports card investors. My initial thoughts are that you guys did a great job making this happen with PSA, and we already see where it's going to give hobbyists yet another great option to transact potentially without even ever touching their cards, which is really cool. We know the press release mentioned that it was starting to be rolled out immediately, but when is the earliest realistically that we can actually start to experience the new PSA grading option at checkout on eBay?
Yeah, Paul, it's live. It went live on Monday, and even in the early meetings, we were starting to see some cards get added, the grading added to it. We're starting to roll it out over the next few weeks, so you'll start to see more and more cards have that option to be able to be graded. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind. This is for cards that are over $250, and also for sellers, the listing has to have 2 images, and we're really asking our sellers to make sure they've got a front and a back, because we really want our collectors to feel comfortable. So we want them to be able to examine the card on each side before they feel ready to submit it for grading.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, certainly one thing that we do at the Sports Card Strategy Show and nooffseason.com is we sort of train people to essentially make the decision on whether or not the card will grade well before they buy the card on eBay. So this is really no different, which is great. And so here's an interesting question that just kind of popped up on Monday's show. Most of our audience lives in the US, but we also have a lot of members that live around the world. Just if you could walk us through maybe why this feature is only available to US residents currently during this rollout, and are there plans to open it up to the international audience at all?
Yeah. For now, the service will only be available in the US, and it hits such a wide range of customers. That's why we selected this locale for it. And as the feature rolls out over a few weeks, we're keen to get the customer feedback and make sure we're delivering a really smooth experience. And once we feel good about everything, we'll start looking into what country is next and figure that out.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That's all we can hope for is just everything going well and then expanding it. And that's kind of what my next question is headed. So I think it makes total sense where you guys are starting. One service level at $39.99 for PSA, aligning with the pre-existing $250 or greater authenticity guarantee on eBay seems to make a ton of logistical sense as well. And then, of course, one other thing I just want to highlight is you guys seem to be incentivizing early adoption by offering free shipping through June, I believe. Great nod to the diehards in the collector community, especially those who purchase frequently on eBay. Safe to assume for a while it will be like one card per submission. But are there plans to add functionality where users can like eventually build more of a bulk submission and align it with additional bulk service levels? Or do you guys think this will just be something where it'll just be one card at a time through the submission?
Yeah. For now, the service is available for single trading cards, which is such a big chunk of what's available on our site. And then, like you mentioned, the pricing structure will start at $250. It'll start at Value Plus. But as the cards become more valuable, we'll match with every single PSA service level that's available.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Very, very good to hear that. And, you know, who knows when that'll be? Like you said earlier, it's like, got to make sure things roll out well first, get the feedback, and then go from there. But that is really cool to know. I know that's something people will be excited about, especially in our audience. And real quick, like, is we actually had a question from one of our premium members the other day saying something about like listing a card at $249.99, you know, kind of a thing. Is it literally like is it $250 on the dot and above, or is there something like a checks and balances where eBay will look at a listing and maybe say, hey, this one's close enough to $250 and we're going to give it that authenticity guarantee anyway? How does that work, if you don't mind me asking?
It is set at $250. There's so many cards going through eBay that it's really difficult to have a range, and we have to be able to set that line somewhere. And so it is at $250. Got it. That's good to know. That's
Glad you're able to answer that for us. Okay, so now, is there actual integration with each user's existing PSA account? So, for example, when I utilize this feature, which I plan to do soon, and I buy a card $250 or above with more than one listing in the photo with the authenticity guarantee, and I'm checking out and I select the PSA grading option at eBay checkout for the first time, will I have sort of like a single sign-on with my own PSAcard.com account where I can see the status of that grading submission? Or how is that going to work, if you don't mind maybe giving us a look into that?
Yeah, this is one of the really nice parts of the integration. So what happens is we'll compare the email address that's listed on your eBay account with the email address you have on your PSA account. And when those match, you'll be able to see everything on both sides on either site. Now, if you don't have a PSA account and that there's no match that takes place, then PSA will actually create one for you. But in either scenario, what's great is on the order detail page within eBay, you'll be able to see the status of your order as it goes from ship to authenticity guarantee over to grading and then back out to you.
Very cool. Love that. Love that. That's awesome. So for me personally, I happen to have created my PSA account before I actually even had my email account that I use for my eBay profile. So I could either work with PSA to change my email account on my existing PSA account, or I could just proceed, and then I would have two PSA accounts, one that would be for my eBay submissions and one that would be for my other grading submissions.
Yeah, either way you can do it. And but you're right, if you make the changes so that they match, then you'll be able to see them mirror each other in both websites.
Outstanding. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so a couple things. I think we're going to have more questions from our audience, and we're unfortunately not going to be able to get you on our show every week. We're excited to have you today. So I'm anticipating things that could come down the pike from our audience. So one question is, how does eBay and PSA plan on handling some issues where cards might appear one way in the photo listings, but clearly don't look the same when the user receives the card when it comes back from PSA slabbed? So, like, for example, I mean, I will stop and say I have had nothing but an amazing experience, and I've said this on the Sports Card Strategy Show several times, with the eBay Authenticity Guarantee program. Like, I've literally had eBay representatives call me and say, hey, look, we found an issue with the card that you bought. What would you like to do? And that has been the best customer experience. So, I mean, kudos to you guys and your team over at eBay for that. But then now you're working with a third-party partner, right? PSA. Now you guys are integrated. Your partners. You've done a lot of business deals together, and you've made it work already with the Vault integration. That's outstanding. So I have no doubt that you guys would make it right. But like, say somebody gets their card slabbed back from PSA, and they're able to sort of show PSA and eBay that, hey, this card doesn't really look the same as it did in my listing. How are you guys sort of built to handle that initially? Clearly, like, you guys are going to bat close to 1,000, but nobody bats 1,000. So how do you anticipate sort of handling those issues?
Yeah, let's walk through it a bit. Our cards are important to us, so I think it's important for everyone to understand how it works. And the card in the listing will have the images attached to it. And then after purchase, it moves to the Authenticity Guarantee program. And at that point, the PSA authenticator will say this card's authentic. And they'll also do some checks to make sure that the card that comes in is as described on the listing. And if it's significantly different, then that card gets sent back to the seller and the buyer is refunded. But in either scenario, there are images that are taken at that step in the process as well. So after it passes through AG, then it will go through the grading process. So now you've got these checks both at the listing, at the Authenticity Guarantee, and then of course you've got your slabbed card that comes through. So in case there's an issue between the authentication process and the grading, then we'll be able to work with the buyer and make sure to make it right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that way, you know, I know you can't really probably talk about this side of it, but we have had audience members who will get a card back from PSA, and they're able to sort of show PSA, hey, look, it looks like something happened inadvertently to the card in the grading process. And so it sounds like that will still be able to happen because of what you said earlier, where it'll be in their own PSA account that is matching their eBay email address. And so at that point, it wouldn't really be something that they would come to eBay for. At that point, they would go back to PSA and handle it through PSA's process. At least that would be my recommendation to everybody. So we'll see once this starts rolling out. But I mean, it sounds like it's going to work really well. I have two additional questions, and then anything else you want to add would be great. One is this is a little bit of a can be kind of a slippery slope. So, you know, feel free to handle this however you'd like. But so far, it seems like we've all had a great experience with the Vault integration, where essentially you guys eBay had a business deal where eBay essentially acquired Golden Auctions, and PSA acquired what was the eBay Vault and is now the PSA Vault. And that has been stellar in terms of being able to buy cards on eBay that meet the PSA Vault requirements, and then be able to go ahead and auction them off in the PSA Vault eBay account, the PSA eBay account. So that's going to continue, but now we're going to have this other seamless end-to-end situation where we're going to be able to grade the cards that meet the authenticity guarantee. Potentially, we could have them shipped back to us, or we could have them stay in the PSA Vault and list them on PSA's eBay account. How does eBay handle a situation to sort of prevent, or take sort of out of it, to hopefully prevent people from essentially bidding with their eBay account on their own PSA auctions listed on eBay?
Yeah, we have to maintain a fair marketplace for the hobby to be great for everybody, and we take this really seriously. And shill bidding is prohibited on eBay, And we have several back end checks and also software that's watching bidding behavior to see if we see anything that might be wrong. And then we'll take action to prevent it.
And I would think that, like, you know, you might not be able to comment on this, but like eventually, if not right away, with the email account now being the same, that would be maybe one check that the software could take to say, okay, is this user logged in to the same eBay and PSA account with the same email address? It seems like this could be this new integration could be a step in the right direction, because as we all know right now, there's really no essentially like single sign-on right now to just directly prevent that. So anyway, that's me just totally guessing, but appreciate your answer there. So my last question is, does eBay plan on including other grading companies, or is this exclusive to PSA? As I started thinking about this, I started thinking, okay, I mean, we're totally like agnostic when it comes to utilizing all the grading companies. We love them all. We think they all do, for the most part, anybody who has a reputation in the hobby does a great job. And we like to support all grading companies. And the Sports Card Strategy Show does have a sponsor, CGC Cards. We know through that partnership that they also authenticate cards for eBay. And so it kind of went through my mind, like, this could be something that you guys could do with other grading companies, right? Is that something you guys have in the works?
Currently, this offering, it builds on our partnership with PSA. And if you kind of look back, it's been a really nice evolution in the last year, from announcing the partnership last year and then quickly giving customers the ability on the PSA side to grade and then list, or to vault and then list. And then even earlier this year, making population data available on eBay to help with customer research. And then now the PSA grading option at checkout. You kind of continue to see the partnership evolve, and it's great to announce this most recent one because I think customers are really going to like it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And like, as I think through my question and your answer, I'm reminded at how advanced eBay's technology is, versus other web-based and app platforms. I mean, eBay has some of the top user experience designers, some of the top programmers, some of the top, marketing people, and people like yourself who are kind of working to lead the teams to make these things happen. And I think sometimes in this day and age, we take for granted, how good the technology has to be and how good the people behind it have to be to keep it fast and secure, and the great user experience and all these integrations. We take them for granted now. And I think when you're looking at partnering with a grading company like PSA, they have to have the same or better on their side, right? And so no disrespect to the other grading companies, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, I think the grading companies that if eBay is going to partner with somebody, they have to have that same technology to either be equal or better and lift up eBay at the same time. So, I mean, I don't have to, I can say that because it's my show. I don't have to put you in an awkward spot, but I mean, that's my take on it. So Mike, thanks so much for joining us. Mike Nett, Director of Trading Cards at eBay for the United States. Anything else you want to add while we have you, man?
No, Paul, I appreciate you having me. And to your comment earlier, first, I'm gonna play your clip for all the devs and product managers to feel good about it.
All right, let's go.
I think it's part of the hobby that we're in. We're so lucky to get to work on a business that's meaningful to people. And so everyone at eBay takes that real seriously. We've got many collectors in all the different parts, and that helps to add just some care into all that we do. And so it's cool to be part of this business that's also such a big hobby.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great people making this technology work, and so kudos to all of them, because it's making our lives better and it's making it more fun. I agree with you. We're really lucky to be able to be in this hobby and have careers in it. And it's nice to meet you. Thank you for your time. I will try to seek you out when I'm at the larger card shows. I'll be at Fanatics Fest and I'll be at the National. So I don't know if you'll be at either of those, but I'm gonna stop by wherever I see eBay at any card show, and I'm gonna come look for you, Mike. So thanks again for your time, man.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for having me, Paul.
Lefty, McKee, what do you think, my man?
I just wrote this to you in our like private chat or whatever that we have in StreamYards behind the scenes. But I just really have a deep appreciation for eBay and PSA specifically. I think I know this is probably going to get the Instagram going wild. But it's 2025. We've been doing this for 5 years. Officially we've been doing this, our podcast and stuff, for almost 5 years or so, or something like that. And I've just seen such a amount of attention put into the user experience from both of those companies. There have been times where eBay and PSA have been horrendous, or it's just been like, this is unusable almost. But I think we do as a community, we do a very good job of telling them where they suck. But I also think they've worked really, really hard, both of these companies, to push themselves into a really good user experience. I mean, think about how hard PSA was to use 5 years ago. They definitely didn't have an app worth a dang. They definitely didn't have very much transparency on where your cards were at in the grading cycle. They definitely didn't have like a cool reveal to me the grade thing. Like, they've just done a lot of hard work. And I think these companies working together, along with Fanatics too, I think has done a good job. Topps has really stepped it up as well. I don't know. Call me, the goody two shoes of the card companies, but I just wanted to take a second to appreciate these companies. I think have worked really hard. I think they've worked their ass off to make an experience that's worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I know that there's people out there that are disappointed in certain things. I do want to read a comment here from Brian Bartunek. He says, love you guys, but it is possible to support your strategies 100% as I do, and also be disappointed with PSA. Recently promised improvements to upfront processing, but are now citing worsening delays. And so I guess back to what I want to talk about both. Mike Net, first of all, great job. Loved having you on. Thanks again for coming on the show. Everybody at eBay doing a phenomenal job. I think that as far as being disappointed with PSA, I can't change people's perspectives on things, and you and I can't change people's feelings on how they feel disappointed. And certainly Brian brings up a good point. He's like, I can feel disappointed and also something else at the same time. That totally makes sense. And it's not like I've never felt disappointed with PSA, but I think like everyone has a different perspective. And my perspective comes from when I sent in my first ever PSA submission, they shut down all grading at all service levels like 4 months later. So like my first ever grading submission in 2021 sat at PSA for like over a year. Mm-hmm. And so like to get cards back in 4 months, honestly, doesn't feel that long to me. It doesn't feel that long to me. And I've felt like most of my grading submissions in the last 16 months have only taken 45 days.
Yeah.
And those are not always promised at 45 days. So I think I'm not saying that PSA or any other grading company has batted 1,000. I don't think anyone bats 1,000. But I do, but I guess my perspective on it is legitimately that like, not only do I expect delays, but I also plan my strategies to not have cards tied up that can't be tied up. You know, that's part of the reason why I'm limiting myself to 5 athletes. because I don't want athletes like Joe Milton who depend on a specific day. And I don't want cards for a particular player that depend on a specific day for a PSA play. Now, could I get screwed over if I make a Cooper Flagg play on draft night and it takes 2 years to get back from PSA and no one cares about the draft night cards anymore? Sure. Would I be disappointed? Yes. Would it also be on me for buying those cards and sending them into PSA? Yes. And I think that I am more on the that's on me side than that's on the PSA side. I think a lot of us come from, I think what happens is our audience, most of our audience are middle-aged men who have disposable income, who come from backgrounds other than the hobby. And that's what I like about our show, by the way. I like that our show includes longtime hobbyists, but also people who have not been in the hobby for a long time. And I think if you come from a background of not being in the hobby for a long time, you're really genuinely pissed off at companies like PSA because you're used to being able, in any other business sector, it's like the customer's always right and companies are bending over for the customer constantly and always giving the customer what they want. And there's so much demand in this hobby, and we're blessed that there's so much demand in this hobby. There's so much demand in this hobby that PSA can't. It's doing the best they can. And I guess I'll leave it there, but I didn't want to acknowledge like people. I mean, I respect everybody's opinion and everybody in the live chat and everybody in our community and our family. And yeah, we've been mad at Panini for how long it's taken to get some of the first look rookie premier cards to us, and we've, that kind of thing. But anyway, Lefty, I think everybody's doing the best they can. I really do genuinely believe that every hobby business is doing the best they can. Other than Breakers. Breakers suck. I'm just kidding. Lefty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to add to this point is Brian Bartunik made me think of this point when I'm reading his comment. I have had recently more PSA submissions than I've ever had. Like my last year has been the most PSA submissions I've ever done. And I just want to ask a question of Bartunik real quick, and I don't know if he'll be able to respond fast enough for us. So it might be, a rhetorical question, but are you submitting cards like this? Like, are you submitting your cards in a card saver in the way that they've asked them to go? Are you putting your printed card like log in there? Are you wrapping it up correctly? Because here's why I ask this. Recently I accidentally messed up one of my submissions. Like, I sent it in wrong on accident. And I've been like, I used to just send them in as to whatever, just throwing the stuff in the box and said, good luck, PSA, figure it out. But I've kind of played by the rules over the past 8 months. And so he said semi-rigid rubber bands, no errors. Okay, great. Well, then this point still will play, though. Is the reason why is I had one that I did not do what I was supposed to do, and it sat in order received like 10 times longer than everything else.
Yeah.
When I'm submitting them like they want them, in the same size card saver for every one of them and all this kind of stuff, those things are actually running pretty quickly.
And I think I'll also add that, like, when I mix together cards from, because you got the 1980 through the present value.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And when I mix together like cards like a Joe Montana 1981 and Anthony Edwards 2020 and a Victor Wembanyama 2023, for example, in the same submission, that research and ID phase takes longer. It just does. Sean Red 5 Cards is one of our longtime members. We'll give a shout out to. We love Sean. He says, Lefty, your card was in a grading timeout for bad behavior.
It was, dude. It was. They were like, what the?
Awesome.
Who said this? Not Lefty, that's for sure.
Well, listen, if you weren't already pissed off at PSA, you're definitely going to be mad at PSA after our sports card school lesson of the month here. We're going to close out our show with our sports card school lesson of the month, which is literally titled, "Does PSA have a process for returning damaged cards?" So let's play this one, and then we'll get more people mad at PSA, and then Lefty and I will close out the show. Here we go. Wondering if a card that I had graded may have been damaged after it arrived at PSA. While this particular card isn't valuable enough to pursue a claim, its PSA 10 sells for around $50 to $65. I'd like to know if PSA has a claims process in place should this happen again. If a process exists, does it require taking additional steps, such as recording a video of a card's condition and the packaging process to serve as evidence before submitting to PSA? The short answer is that yes, you would want to, if you are concerned about PSA damaging your cards, you would want to make sure that you take very thorough and up close and high res videos and photos of your cards before you submit them for grading, whether you're grading through us at nooffseason.com or whether you are sending them directly to PSA. So the process for this would be to go to their help and support page, psacard.com/support, and then basically submit an FAQ, or submit a ticket basically. So you could do order help, and then under order help, problem order. That would be, you're going to get funneled into this anyway. So you would definitely want to take that approach. It's going to ask for your cert number, and it's going to ask for any proof as to why you think PSA may or may not have damaged your card. Two things I will add. One thing that is important is that you only really have a certain amount of time to do this. I believe you should try to do it within 24 to 48 hours of having received your card or your grade. So whether or not you have your card in hand, as soon as you know your grade, and typically if you're grading through us, we let you know your grade as soon as the grades pop, and then we typically don't have the cards back in our hand for like another week, and then we ship them to you, because that's just PSA pops the grades and then they ship them whenever they have a chance to ship them. Typically it's within a week, and then we have them and then we ship them to you, and you get them from us typically about 3 business days after we receive them at PSA. Nevertheless, if you're convinced that PSA damaged your card, as soon as your grades pop with us, or as soon as your grades pop with PSA, I would immediately contact PSA with the cert verification, and I would submit a claim through the psacard.com/support. The longer you wait, the likelihood is that they're going to ignore it and say that you didn't do it quick enough according to their terms and conditions. So they do have a process for it. It's a little bit vague. I have heard of people who have documented their cards before submitting to PSA, and then PSA having admitted damage to the card and reimbursing in some way, shape, or form those people for their submission. So I have heard of this, but I don't know exactly what would happen if you tried this, and I would think that it would be ever changing. Yeah, so there you go. And full disclosure, I do not document my cards before I send them into PSA. Like I don't sit there and like take close-up photos and videos of every single card that I submit. That would take me way too much time. I trust the process, and I've had a broken slab or two. Brian Bertunik said credit where due, received broken slab from PSA and they were all over it, happy with support. I think that's great. And, certainly like a broken slab, I think is easier to handle than like some situation where someone actually feels like their card was damaged by the grading process. That's different. But, Lefty McKee, great show today. We got it all in 2 hours. We're getting We're getting quite a few streams these days. Our audience is growing. We're moving up the top of the charts, if you will. We were named the number 2 overall sports card podcast. And I mean, quite frankly, I think we're number 1, but I'll take number 2. That's pretty good. The community is growing. We really appreciate everybody. Don't forget to check out nooffseason.com and all of our great features there. You can save 20% now by using the promo code nooffseason. Lefty, what else do you have to add for today's show before we hit him with the outro, baby?
I'm excited about what's coming in the future, guys. Like, as much as PSA and eBay are pushing to the next level, so are Paul and I. So we're really doing everything we can, and I think that shows for the feature that we rolled out for nooffseason.com. So stick with us, stay with us. We're a family, and it's been a fun ride so far. Can't wait.
Thanks so much for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. If you enjoyed the content on today's show, there's plenty more waiting for you at nooffseason.com. Just go to nooffseason.com right now and get a free 30-day trial. You get our formula-based sports card rankings, sports card school, inventory tracker, the ability to grade with us, and the premium podcast where we answer an unlimited amount of your questions. Check it out right now at nooffseason.com. For everyone at nooffseason.com, I'm Paul Hickey. Thanks again for being here with us on the Sports Card Strategy Show. We'll see you again soon. Have a great day.